Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Sunday Night Hang. I'm your host, Ben. Well, you knew that. My name's on the channel. You clicked on it even. This is going to be an awesome one. Welcome to May. Wow, May the 2nd already. Where does time fly? Who knows? It's like sand in an hourglass. These are the days of our life. Nope, wrong show. Wrong show. That's right. This is the Sunday Night Hang. We're here to talk gear, have fun, and tonight I'm hanging out with one of the cool cats that I know about. The man's not afraid to rock a cardigan on occasion. He's been rocking toques, and he enters into a lead like nobody. You have an ability. We got Mr. Rick Romanelli. I should mention that. You have an ability, sir. That first note you grab when you're playing with like a backing track, it's like the very end of a lick. I'm like, so you leave me wanting more before you play a second note, because I'm like, what was the first part of that phrase? Because you just kind of come in and do that. And awesome. Pleasure to have you, sir.
Thanks, Ben. I'm super happy to be on. I was glad that you were able to have me on. And yeah, well, I don't know. I always thought that the first note was pretty important, especially when you can't play that fast. You know, you got to pick your notes really carefully.
Sure. Right.
You know?
Well, that's yeah. You know, whether it's slide into or a reverse bend, even I'm like, who starts with a reverse bend? Rick does, and who else? Those guys that you see on stage that are like professional sidemen who stand in the dark until it's lead break time, and then they just melt your face.
Well, yeah,
I dig it.
Cool.
I dig it. So if
Thanks,
anybody has any questions for myself or Rick, tag us, put some question marks in the front, stand out with a super chat. It's all good. It's all welcome. Wow, we already got 27 people in here. Let's see, who do we have in here? Probably a lot of familiar names, Rick. We've got Janice Lala, Thomas Santiago. We have Darlene McMillan. Welcome, Darlene. We've got some guy named Rick Romanelli, likely just a super fan. Rick Hefner's here. Awesome. Martin Lemaire, Terry's 531 Gs, EC Painter, Dan of New Jersey, Vin's RJ, Scott Brockway, Charles 75N. Awesome. Thank you, Terry, for posting a link to Rick's channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Down and Back with Corn Doug. More on him in a moment. I'm waiting to find the comment, Doug. Don't you worry. Randy Crooks. And then Scott and Doug are talking because Doug said right after we had Charles 75N and JP Page join us, he says, I really hope Ben isn't wearing the leather pants. I have a visual I can't get out of my head of him pulling a Burt Reynolds from Striptease to get them on. Silicon lubes and space age polymers. That's how it works. We've got Robert Metzenberg, Rhodey's Jam Cave, Sean Hockey, Fruitcake Tony, awesome, 9 Fathoms, Mark Effects, Cowtown Customs. Nice. Good old crowd. Oh, very nice.
That's cool. Hey, so you were telling me about the leather pants.
Yeah.
They had all of the parts in them, right? You weren't wearing
yeah, they weren't chaps. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No. Hey, Jason. Good to see you. Yeah, they were full black leather pants, all 28-inch waist of them. So even though I was grossly underweight, I still had a muffin top. I think at that time I was 6 feet tall, 135 pounds, and still had a muffin top.
What kind of stuff were you playing?
Very Godsmack-esque.
Godsmack-esque.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Although I was kind of one doesn't look like the others. Like the rest of the band either had shaved heads or short hair, you know, and here I am growing out my hair from day one, sporting the Lemmy Burn stash, mind you, while doing it, and usually ending up shirtless on stage, especially wearing those leather pants because, man, they're hot.
Because they're hot. Yeah, those lights are hot, folks.
Yep. Mickey Settlemeyer. Yeah. Yeah, thank God with the invention of LED lighting. You know, you go to some of the places.
Oh, yeah, it's cooler now. Lights. I still have some big old cans out in the garage. I don't know what to do with them. Nobody wants them.
Nope, they're heat lamps, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. They're expensive heat lamps because they suck up a lot of juice.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions? Give some questions.
Yes. Any questions for either of us? Ask away.
Yeah.
I have a question because I think you're the only gentleman on YouTube that rocks an Eldegas Telecaster shaped object.
Yes, I've
Where'd
had
you get
that.
that? How'd you come across that?
On my 7th birthday, I rolled over in the bottom bunk, and my oldest brother, Steve, was there. And what I actually skipped a whole part of the story. My father had a music studio here in north of Pittsburgh, PA, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it was just a little studio. It was where you would go to take like your clarinet lessons or whatever, and we would sell like cheap drums or cheap guitars and cheap trumpets and stuff like that, and books and strings and capos, the old stretchy kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little boy. I was very small, and I would be watched there during the day by my father and my grandmother, the Italian one. And that's where I was. That was my daycare. Outside was a Gimbals on the other side. And anyway, I fell in love with the yellow guitar, and I would pull it down every day and just bang on the strings.
Sure.
And I didn't know anything back then. I was probably 6. Well, I was 6. And when I woke up on my 7th birthday, my brother was opening the case for that guitar in front of me. It was my birthday present from my parents. Awesome. Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. And honestly, I take everything apart. And so by the time I was 10, maybe, that guitar was sort of unplayable. It had a broken nut. It had all the pickups torn out of it and used for other things. And I don't know. I was always taking instruments apart because my father had when his music store went out of business, there were still guitars around, but they weren't the good ones,
Right.
And so one of the main things that I played back then was a Bradford 12 string, which was a hollow body, kind of like a casino 12 string.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a Japanese import. It was a Bradford. And we took 6 of the strings off. So it was a 6 string. But the tuning keys could barely turn. It had gold foil pickups on it. Honestly, I wish I still had it.
No kidding.
But I don't anymore. But I played that instead of the Eldegas. And then I started getting real guitars. I got Ibanez and Fenders and stuff.
Sure.
And then just when I started doing YouTube back in 2016, I looked at that guitar. I said, maybe I'll put this thing back together again somehow or another. And I love it, actually. It's not the most high fidelity sounding thing, but I've got
a sound.
Yeah, it definitely has a sound. I've got a pick guard that accommodates a P90, and I've got another pick guard to accommodate just a Fender Tele neck pickup, because I kind of live on the neck pickup. I don't.
Sure.
I go to the bridge pickup once a song. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that. I like that little Tele. It's actually I was just playing it the other day.
Very cool.
Actually, okay, hold on.
Sure. I'll just shout out quickly. We got Adam D in here, Cushman NYC, Hip Metal Works, Papa Blue. Wow, hold on. Joe Hervey 84. Who else did I see? Grumpy Mike Guitar. Congrats on 1,000 subs, Grumpy Mike. Jeff K's here. Guitar Man 45. Stephen Douglas. Nice. There it is.
There it is. It's the Eldegas.
Well, see, I have a soft spot for that for the simple reason that when I decided to start playing, similar to yourself, grew up in a musical household.
Yeah.
So I said to my dad, I want to start playing. He goes, "What are you thinking?" I said, "Well, you know what? I'm thinking bass to start with." He says, "Can't go wrong with bass. You always have 3 bands asking you to join as a bass player." Well, okay. He's like, "What's your budget?" I said, "I don't know. I'm 14. I don't know what's a budget for, He goes, "Well, you don't buy junk because you can never get your money out of it once you buy it." I was like, "Okay." And he says, "We'll get you a nice little import." Okay. So what does he do? He calls up one of his old bass players that played in his last band. "Still got your bass?" "Oh yeah, it's been sitting under the bed since I stopped playing with you guys." Mm-hmm. And so Dad's like, "Do you want to sell it?" He says, "Sure." He goes, Just give me the money that I had into it. And so for $100, I got an Aldegas P-Bass knockoff.
Oh, an Aldegas P-Bass.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I had that thing for a year or two until I traded it for my first pedals, I think.
That's cool.
No? Or I sold it. I sold it to the guy I got the pedals from. That's what it was. But I did sell, eventually.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much, Grumpy Mike. He says, for the tone jar, and why not? I'm in the middle of burning dinner, so I may be in and out, but I wanted to say howdy.
I just burned dinner before.
I may be in and out myself for a whole different variety of reasons. Hey, Symmetry. Yeah. Good to see you. Caesar L Guitar. Great to see Caesar in here. Craig Tomlinson.
Hey, Caesar. Caesar's a great guy. He's a very smart dude.
Great little guitar. And you never see Aldegas assistants. You don't see them very often anymore. It's very rare.
No, they were late 60s, early 70s. I did a little bit of reading on them. They also made Ibanez, I think, or other types of copies, other brands, but it was the same factory. They're really neat, actually. This neck is way multi-piece. It's just, it looks like they just glued a bunch of pieces of wood together and made a neck out of it. But it's funny. This is 1.5 inches.
Oh wow,
it's really small. It's like a Rickenbacker small. So you have to really be precise with it when you play. You have to, and I've got big old chubby fingers, so it's a little bit tough. But I think it's a wonderful guitar. I put Fender tuners on it. I don't know. It's not like the most amazing thing that I have. Honestly, I don't have anything amazing anymore. I have a bunch of okay stuff.
Hey, it's amazing because it's a Survivor.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I'm never going to get rid of that. You know, I've got a picture of myself somewhere in Facebook with I'm 7 years old holding that guitar, and it's bigger than me, or it looks like it is anyway. But that's cool. It's cool that you came from a musical family too. I came from a musical family, and
as long as I can think back, Dad was jamming back before we moved down here. We moved to this area when I was right around my 4th birthday. Yeah. Prior to that, we were just north of Toronto. Well, moved around Toronto a lot the first few years. But I remember being told at age 3, time to go to bed, because Dad's having friends over. I'm like, why am I going to bed early? Well, that's because the jam session was starting earlier and it's easier to get me to bed before the music starts. Otherwise, I'm not going to bed. And then tagging along to band practices when Dad started playing down here, or spending time in a music store because he became buddies with a buddy that had a music store and he would work there part-time and babysitting my sister and me, hanging out in a music store. And I remember at that time I wanted to play drums so bad, and they had a cheap used drum kit there. So they're like, beat the hell out of it. Doesn't matter.
Is that the first thing you wanted to play? Drums?
I think so. Just because it was there, and I just sat there and I was like, well, this, and my dad's like, can you just hold a beat? Just boom, boom, boom. I was like, yeah. He goes, okay, yeah, you have a sense of rhythm. I'm like, okay. Didn't know what else to do necessarily.
No. Well, that's good.
Hello to AQ Music. Frank Corcoran's here. I saw Darlene said she has 3 Aldegases. Nice. And a lot of them came with DiMarzio pickups. Nice.
Oh, Darlene. Yeah, Darlene's a big Aldegas fan. I think that's why she watches my channel. She watches out for the Aldegas.
Nice.
Awesome. That's awesome. No,
Oh, don't tell me that, Darlene. She says Paul's Boutique in Toronto has a couple of Aldegases for sale.
They do?
Well, we're talking off air. That's only 100 miles down the road for me.
That's funny. Only 100 miles.
Rural life.
Yeah.
So we got Mr. Pedals himself, LPD Pedals in the house. Just able to pop in to say hello and then back to the grind. Have a great show and a great week.
Mr.
That's
Pedals.
right, because he needs to build and send out the pedal I ordered yesterday. Well, I ordered it a while ago. I finally paid for it yesterday.
Mr. Petros, I would like to buy one of your pedals soon.
They're addictive.
I bet that they are. I have to be careful right now because we're running into all kinds of other little financial situations. But there's things that I see that I want, And LPD Pedals is one of the things that I want to check out a couple of things. Anyway,
I get a kick out when I talk to local friends around here that play, and they'd be like, "Hey, have you heard about this?" You know, and they'll mention Lawrence independently. I was like, "Yep." Or, "Hey, I saw your buddies making it onto this guy's board or that guy's board," because they either know I'm friends with Lawrence or, "Are you familiar? You're into pedals. Do you know about this guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, a little bit."
That's cool. That's very cool. I love pedals. I love drive pedals, especially because nothing can change your sound like that. You know, you can turn one off and turn another one on, and it sounds like you opened up another door, another guitar player stepped through, you know?
Exactly.
I think that's just beautiful.
I agree, especially when he does all these amps in a box too, because, you know, who can afford all those amps?
That's why I like Fender amps so much, because, you know, it's like it's like the white rice of amps in some ways.
Nothing wrong with
that.
I like it. I saw earlier somebody had asked, who are some of your influences in playing?
My influences. The first artist that I liked was Alice Cooper. And Deep Purple. Smoke on the Water was my first. No, my first favorite song was Shambhala.
Three Dog Night.
By Three Dog Night. That was my first favorite song. But then growing up, it was I had three older brothers. So it was Zeppelin 4, Leonard Skinner, One More from the Road, Neil Young Harvest, all of that kind of stuff. And I love the Beatles. And I love the Beatles more than my brothers did. So the Beatles was a big deal, and they still are. And so I had bought all of the Beatles records probably by the time I was 11 or 12. And but guitar player wise, I'm a big fan of 70s prog rock. And so I love Steve Howe. Probably I like Larry Carlton now more than Steve Howe, but growing up I liked Steve Howe. That was the thing for me. And Richie Blackmore. Richie Blackmore was a big deal. It was my first concert. It was Rainbow in 1982, I think. I think it was a Straight Between the Eyes tour with Joe Lynn Turner. They were awesome. And the opening act was Pat Travers Band doing Boom Boom Out Goes the Lights.
I just have to laugh because Lawrence literally just texted me a tracking number.
Oh, that's nice. Good for you.
So he's back at work.
Good for him.
Yeah, Pat Travers, Canadian artist. Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of that stuff. And then I got into jazz when I was older. And so Wes Montgomery and Larry Carlton. And that's what was important to me.
Nice. Nothing wrong with any of that. Unfucking Believable's here. He says he's just here for the calendar. That's Sean Pierce Johnson's channel, not here. I'm not really into time, man.
I don't have a calendar.
Darlene says, being Canadian, awesome. Plays trainer amps in a Stage 100. Well, you know, if this COVID ever, we get this figured out, expect to see some stuff on trainer on this channel, because I'm working on a factory tour of the trainer / Yorkville, because Yorkville PA Systems, very well known. Their factory is only an hour up the road because it's at the east end of Toronto.
Oh, that's cool. I tell you what, they make nice bass amps.
Yeah.
I was playing in a church for about the past 4 years. I'm not playing there now after COVID, but the bass player there was playing Phil Jones stuff through trainer. Really amazing sound. So yeah, I never thought that bass amps needed to be tube. And after I hear those trainer amps, I'm like, oh, wow, that sounds beautiful.
Something about them.
Yeah.
Something about them.
Really nice.
Go to Will Vrella and Fabricio. And Caesar says he's been very busy, but Romanelli is always a treat. I agree. You know,
hey, Caesar, you're a treat too,
Rick
buddy.
is the only guy I know that took Taco Tuesday and just made it better, because he added a telly to it.
Telly Taco Tuesday. I haven't done one in a long time because I felt like I was making the same video all the time. So
there's only so many ways to make a taco, apparently.
You see,
a lot.
Yeah, the thing is after you come up with a bunch of times, then you start eating the same one over and over again. It doesn't make your video very exciting. But I don't know. It was fun. I had a
Larry
lot of
Colton-esque riffs and some tacos. Done.
Yeah, tacos are amazing. It's the sandwich for people who don't want too much bread.
That's right. Hello to Michael Carver. And Darlene says, got a YGA 1 1967 era. That's an OG trainer right there. Nice.
That's old, Darlene. You've got the old gear, Darlene. Because you've got El Degas.
Mike David says, tacos are life. I agree, Mike.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's my staple. Working from home.
Sure.
It's the easiest lunch to make. All you have to do is have a meat and some tortillas.
Yeah, my cousin says tacos aren't fun when you're with Ben. Well, no. Tacos aren't fun for him when he's with me.
Why?
Well, let's see. There was 4 of us on a road trip. We stopped at Taco Bell. Doug ordered as much Taco Bell as the other 3 of us combined. And then he was pretty much prairie dogging it for the last 20 minutes of the road trip to our destination.
He was hurting.
Oh, he was hurt. It got to the point where we were headed down to the NASCAR race where we camped in the infield. We got through security. We got checked in. As soon as we pulled in the infield, we're driving by the bathhouse shower area. And he just says, pull over. Because he runs to the can. He goes, you know where the campsite is? Because it's the same one every year. I'm like, yep, that just happened. So I'm like, yeah, go down 3 more rows, hang a right.
Yeah.
Hello, Chris. We got a local guy. He says from Coburg, Ontario. Awesome. Coburg's about 40 minutes up the road from me. And we've got the one, the only Boner Jams in the house. Nice. Nine Fathom says, I've never had a Canadian taco. Well, we have them. There's Zach Thong. He's even more local because he lives like less than a mile from where I used to live. He moved down here and I moved.
Wait, that's down there. Oh, I guess there's a lot of people north of you.
Everybody's north of us.
I took off. I had to fly somewhere for work. And the first layover was in Toronto. And I was very happy. I was like, hey, I'm in Canada. This is cool. I was only there for a little while. But then flying out of Canada over to Europe, it's like you go north into Canada and you're flying over these big snowy hills that all you see is like it looks like no man's land. Yep.
And that's why 90% of our population lives within a couple hours of the US border.
Really? Oh wow, that's an interesting stat.
And I think what was it? I saw an interesting stat. America versus Canada because of population density, obviously because better climate, just being that further south. It was something like 90% of America has been developed and 10% is still pure wilderness, whereas 10% of Canada has been developed and 90% is still wilderness.
I'm not sure how I'd rather have it.
I don't know, but you can drive for 24 hours and not leave Ontario.
Really?
You can keep driving north. Yeah. Yep.
Well, there's still plenty of beautiful places in Western Pennsylvania, so I'm happy with that.
That's true. Well, my cousin loves the Pittsburgh area because he's a huge Penguins fan.
Oh, the Penguins, yeah.
He spends his birthday down there most years.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, well, he goes to a Pens game for his birthday.
I guess for hockey fans, Pittsburgh is sort of a big deal.
It is.
But not so much for football. They don't like our football team.
No. Paul asks if there's any a-holes in Canada. Yeah, we have 3 of them. We try to keep them separated. We keep one in Vancouver, one in Toronto, and one in Montreal. That's it.
In Nova Scotia. I used to play in a band with this guy whose grandfather was from Nova Scotia, and he lived in the house, and he drank parsley water all day. He would boil parsley in water, and he would drink this, and he swore that's why he lived so long. Anyway, this is really off topic, but he was a really neat guy, and he told us all about Nova Scotia. It was really great having band practices and then coming down to talk to grandfather about Nova Scotia.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a nice little story.
Doug and I both of our fathers are from Nova Scotia.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, it's not too far off from Maine,
Right.
I don't know.
That's true.
I've never been up there though. I've been to Boston a bunch of times, but not me.
Doug says Maya's Pizza in Pittsburgh is what he goes for.
Oh, wait, which pizza?
Maya's?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that one. There's a lot of good pizza around here. There's a lot of good food around here because there's a lot of Italians who moved to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
In the 30s. So there's great food. And there's a lot of Polish people making great food too.
I've always been fascinated with Pittsburgh.
It's a neat little place.
It is.
It is.
It is. It's very unique. Like some people will write it, oh, it's an industrial town, steel town.
Not anymore.
It's like
we've got Google headquarters.
The history of the arts in Pittsburgh, because fortunately, those who made money off railroads and steel and such decided to endow the fine city with some great.
George Benson is from Pittsburgh. Then there's what else was I thinking here in Pittsburgh? I had a thought in my mind and it totally left my mind. Sorry. Anyway, Pittsburgh actually is pretty good in the arts, I think. Nice. I used to go.
Doug also mentions Primiati's brothers.
Oh, Primanti's. Primanti's is not. I mean, it's nice. Here's what we say about Primanti's. It tastes great after a gig. It tastes good at like 2:30 in the morning. Really, it's like really good bread with meat of some sort and cheese, French fries and coleslaw and tomato thrown on top.
Perfect.
And so it's a big messy sandwich. And if you order it without coleslaw, they get mad at you. But it was very good late at night. During the day, and we always make fun of Pittsburgh that way. Like, oh yeah, we put French fries on a sandwich. That's what makes us famous.
Not that I've never done it.
You know what? If you don't have French fries, you put potato chips on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hello, buddy H2O says he's in northern Maine on the New Brunswick border. Very cool. Let's see here. 9 Fathoms asked, doesn't the sap freeze during winter? It does. You can't tap maple trees year round. Darlene asked, how many guitars do I own? I think about 20.
I think I'm the 25 right now. I forget.
Let's see. Oh, and Doug said the pronunciation was Mia's. He's texting.
Was it Mia's? Yeah. Okay. I don't know where that is. Honestly, there's a famous pizzeria over on the east side of Pittsburgh. I forget even the name of it because I'm gluten-free right now and I don't eat pizza. But they ship pizzas around the country. And Dwight Bailey's here saying hello. Hey, Dwight.
Hey, Dwight. Boner Jam said he had his bachelor party in Pittsburgh.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. It's a nice little place. It's a weird place that everything gets real small as you get into the city. Like the lanes get to one lane and it's hard
as
to
it
get
gets
around.
To the older parts of
You know what? If you're coming in from the airport, you can drive in the main road and you go over some hills and through some suburban areas. But then you go through a tunnel, the Fort Pitt tunnels. And when you come out of the tunnels, you're right in front of the city. It's like, pow, it's right in front of you. And then you go across a bridge and you're there. And it's really actually very beautiful. Like you can see the point where the lit up fountain is and all that stuff. It's really nice. David Douglas is saying, go Ravens. It's not because I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I hope.
Hello to Southern Boy, Great Vanzini I missed earlier.
Hey,
Cool Tunes Made Easy. Big G, Gary Tholander. Waylon, hello Waylon. Blackjack Guitar. Philly G-Man Guitar. All the guitar people. Perfect.
Oh, it's Blackjack Guitar. That's not Blackjack.
Well, it used to be Blackjack Guitar Nut, but he's not nutty anymore, apparently.
I see. Okay, he's a different person.
He's cured himself. Thanks again, Terry, for posting a link to Rick's channel in here.
Thanks, Terry.
Somebody had asked. Chris, he asked if I'm in T-Dot, a.k.a. Toronto. No, I'm the other way from you. I'm just outside of Belleville, Ontario. You can hear the 401. Well, you can't, but I can hear the 401.
Who is your favorite Canadian musician, Ben?
Ooh. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Favorite Canadian musician?
Maybe. I'm sure. I don't know. I think our tastes differ a little bit.
Well, as a solo artist,
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Solo artist, I'll say probably Neil Young.
Yes, we don't differ one bit.
No, because Neil, he can do the acoustic stuff, or he can play piano, or he can just crank it up so ungodly loud that you're like, ooh. He's the godfather of grunge.
He writes a ton of songs. He writes a ton of amazing songs.
Oh, yeah. And he put out like 60 albums over the course of 25, 30 years.
Yeah. He was part of 2 amazing bands. That's great. I like him a lot.
Yep. Favorite Canadian band? That's a tough one.
Rush. That's an easy one.
Maybe. I like Rush, but April Wine might.
Oh, April Wine. Wow. That's a flash from... I didn't even know they were Canadian, to be honest.
Originally from Nova Scotia.
Oh, really?
A Nova Scotia band that transplanted to Montreal to make it big. And then, with a variety of lineups over the years. But I watched an April Wine concert last night on YouTube. 1982 in Des Moines, Iowa. No,
Did they have a famous guitar player who went on to do anything else? Would I recognize any of the names in April Wine?
Miles Goodwin was the front man / guitar player from day one, still is. Then you have Brian Greenway's been with them since the 70s, late 70s. The band actually formed, I think, in 68 or 69. Gary Moffat played with them up until the mid 80s as well, and he went on to do a lot of studio work. Great player too, but they were one of the few bands with 3 guitar players. Although Miles didn't play in every song, sometimes he'd just sing. But sometimes, I was watching one song last night, Roller, 3 guitar parts in harmony. Like you think, they use a harmonizer. Nope, 3 guitar players. And they're doing a cascading, like a round type thing. They're
fuguing.
Yeah, I was just like, this is confusing and awesome.
That's pretty cool. Very cool.
Yes, BC Rich 581, Killer Dwarves are very Canadian. And Friends. They're one of my favorites as well. Bryan Adams as well.
Adams.
Chris Thomas says Steppenwolf out of Oshawa. Well, their drummer was from Oshawa, but the band technically hailed from Kitchener.
Where's Kitchener?
Kitchener is an hour west of Toronto. Okay. Kitchener-Waterloo, which is where Cousin Doug lives.
Well, Robbie Robertson was from Canada, right? But then the rest of the band was... Or no, everybody in the band was from Canada except for... what's his name? Levon, yeah.
Exactly. Somebody... let me think here, in case they're watching on replay, because I haven't seen them in the chat. Brisley Adams did a cover of The Weight.
Did they?
Posted it in the last couple of days, and I said... And he put in the description, American/Canadian band, The Band. Mm-hmm. And I replied... Actually, no. Only one member is American. They're a Canadian.
Yeah, but he's the one who wrote that song.
True. Formed in Canada, basically because they started out, for those who don't know, as the Hawks, for Ronnie Hawk and the Hawks.
Yeah, for Ronnie Hawkins.
Ronnie Hawkins, who brought rock and roll to Canada, essentially. And Levon Helm was from the same town of Helena. I believe it's Helena, Arkansas.
That's the capital.
Levon Helm,
Montana.
Ronnie Hawkins, and the Gatlin brothers are all from the same town.
Oh, wow. From Arkansas.
Yeah. And briefly, my dad had a band with C.W. Gatlin, cousin of the Gatlin brothers.
Really?
Yeah. Who's also in the Rockabilly Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow. Your dad is?
No, C.W. is. My dad should be, in my opinion, but...
So what was your dad's, what was his career like in music?
He started out, he was a rockabilly guy who I don't think he didn't really have bands or anything until the 80s even, but a lot of jam sessions. He and his best friend would do a duo thing through, 60s into the 70s, 2 guys with acoustics, and perform at a lot of house parties, stuff like that. Also, he was involved with the Mariposa Folk Festival, which was a huge festival in Toronto each year. And as such, he would be at all the jam sessions at night. And I shouldn't say very good, but good friends with John Prine, Steve Goodman was another friend. For those who don't know, look up Steve Goodman. amazing, tragic loss to young. He passed away of leukemia, but he actually wrote "City of New Orleans." I do believe. Nope. Yes. He did.
Okay.
Bought a house in Malibu from that song.
Huh. And I would have thought that song was written by
Arlo.
Yeah, or somebody like that.
Nope.
That's pretty cool, though.
Written by Steve Goodman. Super nice guy. My dad, on one of the shows I did with my dad, every time I think of Steve, him in a nutshell, played a set at the Mariposa Festival, finishes, puts his guitar away. They go to leave. Dad's walking with him. Somebody stops him and says, "Hey, great set, but you didn't play this song." And he's like, "Oh, you're right, I didn't." Bends over, takes his guitar out of the case and plays it for her.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So Steve was a great guy. And John Prine was another one. My dad likes to tell the story. John was leaving the festival one year, getting on his tour bus to go down to Nashville to record an album. And he's literally on the stairs of the tour bus and says to my dad, "Grab your guitar. I need you down in the studio." And he's like, "Dude, I got a wife and kid. I can't just pick up and leave. Like, I have a life here." He's like, "Yeah, like, I really need your harmonies, and I love your playing." And Dad's just like, "I can't do it, unfortunately."
Why, he would have had to go on tour then, or?
Oh yeah, probably everything. I would imagine he would have taken the role that Erlen Roth did for years with John Prine.
My father was on tour in the 80s, but we were all kind of a little bit older then. I mean, I was in my teens, but it was good.
Yeah, he pretty much, through the 80s, he only gigged locally, playing country at that time, slipping a little rock and roll in the third set, here and there. A lot of country. He did that up until 86, 87, I'd say. And then I remember, again, early 90s, 92 or 93, got a call from CW down in Arkansas. The deal was, he says to my dad, "Dave, I need you to put a band together. I've been booked for a Canadian tour. I need a band," because he didn't have anything. "You put the band together. I'll come up. We rehearse for 2 weeks. We tour the east coast of Canada. We're going to hit Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, maybe do a bit of Quebec." Then it was take a break, go down to Levon's house in Woodstock, record an album, come back, and then tour the rest of Canada, Ontario forward. And at that time, my family owned a restaurant. So Dad's kind of tied. And I was 19, 20 years old at the time. And Dad said, "What do you think?" And I said, honestly, and was doing rockabilly. And I said, he goes, "What do you want to do? Play guitar or bass?" He says, "You play one, I play the other." And I said, "Well, I'll play bass because easier." And he goes, "Okay." I thought anyways, easier. And two factors. One, we couldn't leave my mom and my sister to run the restaurant. And two, I couldn't get out of my apartment lease, which was a 2-year lease. So we were like, sorry. And CW ended up doing a cross Canada tour, recorded an album down at Levon's. I was like, damn it.
Oh, wow.
One of my regrets in life.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Everything happens for a reason. Right?
Yep. Exactly.
What kind of restaurant was it? I'm sorry,
Seafood.
I keep going off the music topic.
Oh,
I'm just interested.
All right. Seafood restaurant we had for a number of years. Fish and chips. Yep. And all kinds of seafood. As well as a grill. It was interesting that place was as much known for my mom's fish and chips as opposed to my dad's burgers. Because Dad ran the grill, Mom did the deep fryers. And my dad's burgers, my God. 10 years later, people would just comment, "I'd go for a Dave burger right about now." I'm like, I bet you could, bud. I bet you could.
Wow. Interesting.
I don't know what it was about them. They got good meat at the local butcher, and Dad's just like, "No, I'm making a burger that I'd like," type thing. And so it was a nice big burger. And all my buddies in high school used to stop in at the restaurant because they knew they could get a free meal, free burger and fries or something like that. And half the time, because being in a rural area, you literally have like 5 surrounding towns all go to the same school. So guys that come in, and they wouldn't call me at home. They call me from the restaurant. Hey, I'm over at the restaurant. Why don't you pop on over? Let's hang. I'm like, you're just there for a free burger and fries, you bastard. But whatever. Oh, and I did miss that, didn't I, Terry? Thank you. Big Wave Dave, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, my small stone has so much volume loss. Do you guys have any other faves that don't have the volume loss?
I use a small stone. I love it, to be honest. But recently I've been using this Line 6 M5 pedal because you can just make it whatever effect you need at the time. And that doesn't have any volume loss.
All right.
But I love the small stone.
I assume since he's using a small stone, he's more of a small stone fan than a Phase 90 fan. So you can't just say, hey, get a Phase 90.
I don't know. I like them all. I'm a big Phase fan.
There it is. I would recommend, as an affordable alternative, the Outlaw Effects Funnel Cloud. And the reason I recommend this is because it's got a toggle switch on it. I can't read what it says because they used bloody red over black. Then and now. But the then and now, rather than sounding like Phase 90 and Script Phase 90, it sounds almost like a small stone and a Phase 90 in one box. Oh. Hey, sis. Good to see you. So that's my recommendation. The Outlaw Effects Funnel Cloud. Check it out. I think they're like $50-$60 US.
That's pretty cool.
And as far as I know, they're still in business. I thought Outlaw went out of business due to COVID, but apparently they're still in business. They liked one of my posts the other day, so on Instagram.
I'm trying to pull up a phase shifter here on this thing.
While my sister's in the chat, I should mention my sister will be my guest next week because it's Mother's Day.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Mother's Day.
Yes, so I've done a Mother's Day, special traditionally. Unfortunately, my mother, no longer with us. So I thought my sister's a rockin' mom. Let's have her on.
Does Amanda play?
A little bit. I gave her a Jazz Master a year or two ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, an Affinity Series Jazz Master. Nice little guitar. It's not the best ergonomically for her.
Yeah.
She fell in love with my Wolfgang. She really wants a Wolfgang.
Yeah, because they're nice.
Yeah.
I used to have an Axis Sport, which was the same shape as it was, but it was Music Man. It was around 2000. So I think it was after. Right, oh, yeah. That's different than mine, though. So mine didn't have binding. So it was the more of the curved edge one. Yeah, that's nice. And mine had a hardtail. Is that a hardtail?
Yep, hardtail.
And mine had a piezo.
This does not. Wow, that would be cool.
It had a piezo, and it was just like a brown sunburst. No matching headstock. It was the maple headstock. But boy, it was a nice guitar, and I sold it because I didn't play it much, and it was worth a decent amount. But now it would be worth way more. I sold it for $1,000. So it would be worth a lot more now.
I think about twice that.
Yeah. But you know what? When you sell a guitar, you do it for a reason.
That's right. That's right.
You have to.
I don't want to talk about the vintage Les Paul I sold for $500.
Wow. Okay, here's a fun story.
At the time. It was 1990.
Is that what it was worth at the time?
It was 1992. You couldn't give a Les Paul away.
I bought my Les Paul brand new in 1995 for $660.
Nice. Hey, PG
studio, but it's a good studio. Still is.
I had a 1972 Les Paul Deluxe.
Okay, here's a good story.
I didn't like the mini hums. They didn't have enough output. Although I only just found out the last few years you could put P90s in them.
Same size.
Yeah, didn't know that. Didn't know.
If I had a Les Paul without route, I would put gold foils or something weird in it.
Who's playing gold foils or P90s in the early 90s, right?
Nobody, but I mean that's the kind of sound I want to get now. I'm like, I've got
it was young and stupid
humbuckers and single coils everywhere, and I just want to get like some kind of lo-fi almost thing. Anyway, when I was about 18, I think, I walked into a store and there was a used ES335. it had been refinished,
Mm-hmm.
and it also had buckle rash, a ton of buckle rash on the back. And they were asking $370 no case. And it was kind of beat up, but it was beautiful. It was a Gibson ES335 dot. And this was in 1987. And I bought it.
Was anybody rocking a 335 in 87?
Well, Steve Howe was.
Yeah.
I don't know who else, but I mean, that's what initially drove me towards semi-hollows.
Sure.
Was Steve Howe. And anyway, I had it, and then I bought a Strat, and I ended up buying a Les Paul, and I had other things. Eventually, I just never played it, and it fell into disrepair, and I was just like, oh, my 335. And my buddy loved it, so I sold it to him for, guess how much? I can't believe it when I think about it.
I don't even want to guess.
$285. Yeah. And he still has it.
I
recently said he'd sell it back to me, and I was like, no, it's yours. Just keep it. But it was beautiful. It was a beautiful. It still is. He got it all fixed up.
Nice.
Anyway,
got
that was my 335.
Nice. Thank you very much, everyone that's tuned in. Please leave a thumbs up if you haven't already. And hello to Johnny. Get Johnny in there. And I see people just randomly start talking about WKRP being the best television show of all time. And I'm not going to disagree, because when I was a child, they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, Dr. Johnny Fever.
Dr. Johnny Fever.
I think at that point, my parents went, yep, he's a write-off. If that's your life ambition.
That was a good show. I liked Les Nessmen. I thought he was the best character on that show.
Les was great.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Listen, I got a little phase shifter on. Can you hear that? Probably not.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. It's this Katana amp. I like the Katana amp because it's really handy. It's just right there. You look like you have two little Vox amps behind you now. Did you get another one?
Let's see. There's a Vox Pathfinder up here.
Yes.
That's been converted to just a Vox head.
Okay.
With all the mods that Landon Bailey put on his YouTube channel, like how to put in a top boost circuit and a couple other mods. So my buddy Richie did mods to that. And then the other Vox behind me used to be an AC-15, but somebody removed the amp out of it. So it's actually just a 112 cab. So together, I have a Vox half stack.
Yeah.
Which was a gift from Richie because he bought an actual AC-15 and then he said, here, Merry Christmas, get this out of my studio. Okay.
That's cool. Was it a greenback in the Vox?
It is in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's a great little 112 cab. I used to run my Marshall head through it. I've run the Vox through it. It's kind of my go-to 112 cab. Yeah.
I've only just started using Vox amps maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I think they're fantastic.
Hey, there's Brad Guitar Miller. He says, evening, Ben, checking in from Cleveland. Well, Cleveland does rock. Emergency trip, no fun. Dang. Peace to everyone. Hug the ones you love. Brad, by the sounds of that, positive vibes, my friend. I hope all is well. Hit me up if you want to talk at any time, my friend. Mahogany, thank you very much. He says, new strings? I could, actually. I was thinking, so I'm due to replace the strings on my Mexican Tele.
I have a bunch of strings laying around. You know, here's something that I've been meaning to mention on my channel, but I don't talk much on my channel anymore. This company, String Joy.
Yes.
They make very nice strings. And when you order strings from them, they give you, I don't know if you can see this, they give you a handwritten thank you.
Oh, wow.
It says, thank you, Rick. Or it says, thanks, Rick. And its name is Masso or something. You can't see that because of my light. But it's there, believe me. Which I think is fantastic. So that's my new string company. That's the strings I'm gonna buy. And they make
I've heard good things about them.
They make 10 to 48. They make like all weird kind of gauge, which I think is great. Greetings to you too, Music Therapy Laz.
That one has 9.5 through 44s on it.
Those are neat.
They are neat.
My friend Chip uses 9.5s now. And I played them. He has them on. I made videos with a Hendrix Strat. I don't know if you saw any of those. Those have 9.5 to, I think they're 48. No, maybe something else. But they feel really good. They feel very like more stretchy than I'm used to. I mean, I've grown up on Theodaria 10 to 46 my whole life. But
BC Rich 581 says, my String Joy love note is from Jake.
Jake. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I just think that's a really great thing to do. That's really good customer service. You know,
I fully agree.
Especially in this day and age where you buy so much more stuff online.
Where it's just, Facebook Corporation, boom, hit it.
Yeah. You're getting personal messages back from people. You know who else gave me one of those personal messages is when I ordered bird cords from, I forget the name of that company, but they sell those little bird cords that they'll plug into like one of these things, like a little phone charger thing, and then you can run your pedals off of them.
Okay.
And those people are really nice too. They send out a nice thank you. They're in Germany. I love that. I love it when when people are really good in business.
Oh, I know. Like a little note goes a long way. Long way.
Sure does.
Let's see who else we have. We got a bunch of people. 74 people in here. It's been fluctuating 70 to 80 constantly. This is awesome, folks.
Is that good? Is that more than your average? Well, I don't know.
That's average when I have a cool cat on like yourself.
Well, thank you. I don't know.
We get all these people tuning in that haven't checked you out before, and those who have checked you out, a few people have mentioned, because they're thinking, hey, we just see Rick in these videos where he's noodling to these cool backing tracks, which, by the way, I love the fact you'll play along to a backing track and you always will say, hey, I picked it up here, or it's this guy or that. And
well, yeah, especially now that I'm monetized, I really want to, I want to give people credit where it's due. And if they want to jump in and grab the monetization, it's all theirs. But I like that. I like using other people's tracks. But recently I've been making my own. That's my new thing, is making my own tunes.
Sure.
Well, it's not new, but as far as YouTube goes, I'd never taken time to do it as much. But now I'm probably putting out a song every couple of weeks or something, like a track that I can use.
Sure.
If I get a guitar that I can do a review on and that kind of thing, it's nice to have my own track. I think it's neat. And then it can try to tailor it to whatever I've been working on, playing guitar recently,
Sure.
So I can set up the chords so that if I've been working on a specific change or a specific type of scale pattern or that kind of thing, that I can put that into a song and I can then explore it, and it sounds good. I enjoy it. At least I think so. Yeah.
And we all seem to have a bit more time for these type of projects these days.
We do. Well, it really hasn't changed much for me. I mean, I work at home, and I didn't go that many places. I used to play a lot more gigs than I do now, but
yeah, other than the gigs, that's been the only. I get a kick when people say, how is it for you handling lockdown? I'm like, I've worked from home for 2 years doing YouTube. Yeah. Nothing has changed other than me slipping out to music stores to do those guerrilla style in-store demos.
Those are cool though, Ben. That's the first place I ever saw you, by the way.
Half the music stores, considering, like where you are, most music stores will not let you shoot in them. Like Guitar Center, you can't film it. No.
Well, and you know what else? So there's a couple of really good mom and pop stores around here. And one of them, I'm good friends with a couple of the folks there, and they'll let me go into the little amp room and film something. And it's usually like in the afternoon or something, because It's like 5 minutes down the road, and I can do that. I haven't done it in a while. The other one is just so busy all day because it's the store for the city where musicians go, and it's just busy all day. And if I'm sitting in the corner making a video, I'm kind of going to look foolish, and so I don't do that.
That doesn't stop me at all.
Oh well, I mean, I would, but I don't know. They're the store that has all the cool stuff. They really are. That's like it's where I bought this because it was there used for a really great price. They have a great used section downstairs, and they have a great acoustic room. They have great, like they have all the main brands. That's nice to look at.
That's right, Johnny. Support the mom and pops. And hello to Charles Lancaster. Welcome. Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate. Like my friends at Ardens, like people ask like how far I go back with Ardens. Well, my dad shopped there. I'm friends with Sean Lewis, the owner. My sister's friends with Sean because literally, especially their original store here in Belleville, where I'm just outside of Belleville, literally there's the store at the end of the block. You cross the street, and then it's my sister's bank. So literally, she knows them that way, as well as the music store. And I used to stop in the Trenton store when I lived in Trenton forever, to the point where my dad shopped there. That's where he got all of his stuff, as far as strings, picks, all your consumables, because, he's from the generation you had one guitar and you played it for 20 years. So he didn't need gear per se. But just, the consumable stuff, or if he needed any setup work done, he'd have Clyde do it there. And so I'd tag along to that, for that. So I've known about that store forever and a day. And so, of course, when started YouTube, I'm like, hey, do you want to be my sponsor? And they're like, sure. What does that entail? I'm like, I give you shout outs and you let me demo your gear. They're like, all right, but you can't leave the store with anything.
No.
I was like, okay. You can't take it back to your studio, blah, blah, because they got burned in the past with, people borrowing gear. I was like, I get it. So I said, no, I'll just wait in between customers, or half time they're like, if a customer comes in, just, if you're not bothered. I was like, no, because that actually looks good, because then it looks like they have customers, which is always a bonus.
Yeah.
And then I started going when Long and McQuaid opened down here, and they're our Guitar Center. I knew one of the employees from a few previous mom and pop that went out of business. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, aren't you doing YouTube now? And yep. He's like, anything you want to demo? I was like, do you mind? He's like, no. And because they're like Guitar Center and they have everything, Ardens, they're more of a, say, a lesson place like your dad did. So mostly practice amps. So I'm playing through, usually it's a Blues Junior, which sounds great in the room, sounds like ass on camera. That's why half those transfer, at least with my rig. But I go to Long McQuaid, and they're like, hey, have you played the new Marshall DSL Mini Head? I'm like, no, I haven't. He was okay. We'll play through that through a 412 cab. Okay. And I'm playing out on the floor with customers and everything. And I've had a few people watch me, which was interesting. I had one person film me. That was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if that video ever got posted. And, just grab stuff down. And they're super nice. They're pulling stuff out of the back that wasn't out on the floor yet, because they think it would make a good video. They've been really welcoming. They even went as far as, because he introduced me to another guy who's really into pedals, to the point where they put an extra power outlet in the area I like to shoot with a music stand with a power adapter, so I could put a pedal there for your clean versus dirty on guitar demos. I was like, you didn't need to do that. Well, it helps the customers too. I'm like, yeah. And then, but he pulled me aside and he's like, I totally did, because I know you're running. I was literally switching the channel on the amp to get clean versus dirty. Or at Ardens, I just play straight semi-clean the whole time. Yeah.
Well, that's all I've ever seen you do at Ardens was the semi-clean stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I missed a few.
Because I started taking a couple pedals in with me. I wish Lawrence's pedals had a battery adapter inside just for that reason.
Yeah.
Because Ardens doesn't have enough power ports around. But although I'm thinking I might start taking... if and when I can do demos again, because we're in lockdown again, I'm going to just start taking my Stomp.
Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a Stomp. Okay, cool.
Yeah, with custom green knobs available at, where the hell are they available at? HelixKnobs.com. Tesi Switch. There we go.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to remember. I was like, what the hell's Rob's site's name? Use coupon code Canucks and save 15%. There you go. But yeah, this thing's been a fun little toy, even though I'm an analog guy, but this.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun.
Every gig going forward, Rick.
Really?
Oh, every gig as a backup.
Well, that's cool.
You know, if the board goes down, the amp goes down, whatever, I can plug this into a PA system.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I would have that plugged in on my desk with a bunch of stuff piled on top of it.
Yeah. I do have a computer interface. It's still in the box. Got it, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's me and computer. People are like, what's a good IR? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't use those things.
No.
Unless it's built into something and I don't know I'm using it.
Exactly.
I use a little pedal board that I keep on a stool next to me.
Well, technically, even if you use like a stomp into an amp, you really should plug this thing into the effects return, you know, because it's got amp sims and everything else. But no, I still plug it into the front of the amp.
Well, yeah. I mean,
and forget to turn off the reverb on the amp.
Can't you use it for a drive too?
Hmm?
Can't you use it just for a drive or just for a specific pedal?
Yep.
Yeah, that's why it needs to go in the front of the amp.
Yeah, well, I do have the HX effects as well, which is just the effects portion without all the amp sims.
Oh, that's cool.
Cabs and stuff.
I like Line 6 stuff. They're
not not your dad's Line 6 where they fell apart within a couple of years. They're good now.
Around 2006, I bought a Flextone 3 and it did break eventually and stop working. But I think it was because of the way I had it in my car while I was going to gigs and it was banging off of stuff. Yeah, but I thought it was a great amp. It sounded very nice. Sometimes some of the patches sounded like a recording of a guitar instead of a real guitar. But I thought it was a good amp, and I thought it had a decent speaker in it. You know, it was good for taking out if you just wanted to plug one cable in. Except for I like pedals too much, and so I would end up bringing pedals anyway.
Yeah, people is like, oh, use like a Line 6. You know, you don't have to do the tap dance. I like doing the tap dance.
Yeah, the tap dance is fun.
Like I like laying out my pedal board a certain way just so I know, because I have to hit these 3 pedals within a certain time. I can't have them all spread out.
Yeah. Well, not only that. So I play this game in my room, right? And when I say in my room, I mean in this basement where this is my studio and this is my office where I work during the day. And this is where I do all my stuff. I make my recordings, everything. But what I have is I have a bunch of like just wooden pedal boards with Velcro on them. So it's really just a bunch of platforms laying around. And what I'll do is I'll build a pedal board and I'll play through it for a while and I'll set it aside. And then I'll build another pedal board with other pedals and I'll play through it for a while and I'll set it aside. Or I'll take a pedal off of this one and take a pedal off of this one. Eventually I'll look around and I'll be like, I've got like 5 pedals laying around that aren't doing anything. And I'll grab another board and I'll put them all on just to see what my reject pedal board sounds like. And you know, there's
reject
like
board or something.
Yeah. They all sound beautiful. They all sound really great because I don't know. I don't keep pedals I don't like. So
when I was with One Day to Live, I had my main pedal board.
Yeah.
And then on the side, I joined the band Smile Harder, which was all covers. One Day to Live was mainly original stuff. And when I joined Smile Harder, because it was just, classic rock, female fronted, I'm like, perfect. This is way departure from playing Godsmack, all in your face. I'm playing a drop C in the other band. This band, standard tuning with capo more often than not. I'm like, sweet. One band played Les Pauls. The other band, I was like, I'll play Tellies. And of course, then I was traveling back and forth with my pedal board between the 2 practice spaces. And I always got dirty looks from the main band every time I pack up my pedal board because they're like, oh, your side band, your side piece type thing. And I was like, I got to build another board. So I look around, I start putting together another board out of the pedals I have around. So then I had literally 2 separate rigs for the 2 bands. No overlap. Maybe once in a while I could take one pedal off a board to take to the other band to play with. And then after that, and now I'm like you, where it's just, I've got a few random pedal boards around here with just stuff, or the last gig with the Honey Badger outfit, I had my gigging board and my practice board because I didn't feel like breaking down my practice board at the practice space because we played headphones, virtual amps. I had pedal board there, couple guitars there. I just left there. And then I had my gigging stuff. And then the last gig I played, I substituted playing bass for a band. I built a pedal board for the one-off thing. And I was like, bass players use reverb. And Richie was one of the guitar players, but he's like, no, they usually run pretty dry. I'm like, well, I'm running reverb. I was like, okay. I'm like, bass players run delays? He's like, sometimes? I'm like, why?
Compressors and chorus.
Yeah.
Compressors and chorus.
Guess what I didn't have on the board?
Compressors and
compressor
chorus.
or a chorus. I had reverb, delay, and then the Lawrence's Chola boost, which is like a 25 decibel Class A amp in a box boost. So nice, warm tube sound boost, clean boost. And the deal was when I showed up to play bass, there was an Ampeg amp waiting for me. So tube amp, 300 watt, 1x15 or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, I'm going to drive that. And I was playing this bass, my Ibanez bass.
Ooh, that's nice.
Which, as you see, has a single and a hum in it.
It's like a Stingray configuration.
Yeah, and it's just got a single blend for the two pickups.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured, like a guitar, the more you turn clockwise, you dial in more bridge for whatever reason. But it turns out it's the opposite. So I'm like, wow, I'm a little aggressive sounding. So I keep tweaking on that knob, and I'm like, oh wait, that's a little gainier. I kind of dig it.
Yeah.
And what started out with the boost at about 11, 12 o'clock, edge of breakup on the single coil to start the night. So I had a nice, thick, full, clean sound. And then by the end of the night, I just rolled it the other way. And we were playing an encore. And this is a band, literally, I got the call at 4 PM to play that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. I was like, what are we playing? He's like, 2 sets. I was like, okay. And he's like, by the way, it's $100. I was like, okay. He goes, per set.
Oh.
I was like, well, yeah, that's what a cover band makes. He goes, no, that's per person. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, all right, sure. And
especially playing bass.
Playing bass. And I'm like, what is it? He goes, like, classic rock covers. I'm like, it's like your wheelhouse. I'm like, okay.
This is my lawnmower.
Nice.
Oops.
And so I was like, sure. I'm like, what do I need? He says, I'll bring an amp. You just bring bass. So grab the bass, put together a pedal board, showed up. And we ended up, by the end of the night, we're playing an encore. I'm fully on the humbucker. I've got the boost now at 1, 2 o'clock. Richie goes to the can because a buddy of ours is sitting in on guitar. He's like, in the bathroom, you sound full on Black Sabbath, dude. It's epic.
Oh, like, cool.
But playing with that Chola boost, hitting the Ampeg, and with a little bit of reverb, just a little slap back. And a buddy of ours who was later playing with us on stage, he came up to me, and I'd played with him in bands and stuff. And he's like, how you getting your tone, man? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because he came up and he's looking at my pedal board while I'm playing during the first set. And he's like, what's that pedal down there? Because he had never heard of Lawrence Petros design at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so I did that sort of rig rundown there. I'm like, oh, that's just a guy down in Arizona. It's a little Class A amp in a box. Really? Yeah. He's like, A-B it. So bing, bing. He's like, holy shit. That's really, really cool. I'm like, yeah. That little boost became my signature pedal because I asked Lawrence to expand upon it because I really like that tone stack.
Yeah.
And that became the nice drive A.
Huh. And you use it for guitar also.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a guitar pedal because I texted Lawrence and I was like, took a picture of the pedal board. And he's like, where are you playing with that? I'm like, playing this. Classic rock covers. He goes, what kind of amp you pushing? I'm like, Ampeg. He's Ampeg. I'm like, yeah, I'm playing bass. Because that's not a bass pedal board. I'm like, I know. It's going to be epic.
It's an ambient bass pedal.
And I just play like Lemmy anyways. A lot of octaves and
I
And
play a lot more bass than I used to. I'll be honest with you.
At 5:30, Richie asked me, he goes, "Do you want a set list?" I'm like, "Is there a point?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing blind anyways. I was like, as long as I can see one of y'all's left hand, I'm good. That's all I
used
need.
to go and sit in with my buddy, and he would never tell me what song he was doing or what key it was in or anything. He would just start playing.
Sure.
And I had to like watch him and figure it out, and then I would just play solos.
Well, you know how it is playing covers too. It's like we've all heard the songs millions of times. You know when the changes are coming. You know.
Yeah, but there's some things that are tricky and that you don't know. If you try it live, you might make it fool you.
And that was the thing. Like usually, I think there was one song per set. I just leaned over. I'm like, "We're not doing that one." Like, why? I'm like, dude. Like one song, I forget what it was, but it was very bass. Like it's the bass line is the hook. And I was like, no, dude, I'm here to play Cliff Williams style. A lot of just boom, 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 boom. Like, think of me in Nikki Sixx. That's what I'm doing. You know, a lot of Lemmy, a lot of octaves, but I'm just grinding away. And then until we would play some of the more rockabilly type stuff. And then I'm just like, fuck it, I'm doing walking bass runs and stuff. And Richie looks
that's cool.
Oh, look at you go. I'm like, wheelhouse. You know.
Yeah, right. Well, that's cool. I like that.
Oh, I loved it.
I like playing the bass anymore. I used to look at this like, well, I still do. This my joke is that this is my lawnmower that, you know, you only take it out when you need it.
Exactly.
You know, but it's been a lot of fun playing it recently.
Well, the cliche of that was that bass. I never plugged it in when I took the gig. I bought it, never once tried it. I was like,
because you need
plug
one.
that thing in and see if it works. So I plugged it in. It worked. Needed a setup. So thank God I gave it a setup. Because I was like, damn. Just slam the action down. I'm like, let's make this nice and easy to play.
Hey, I learned how to do setups, and I looked at this bass, and I was like, oh, I hate that bass because it used to play terribly. And then I looked at it, I'm like, why don't I set it up? And I set it up, and it's like gorgeous. It feels so good.
Sure.
So I'm happy that I learned how to do setups. There was a guy who travels around and does workshops. It's like $60. So you go and he gives you a bunch of tools and you set up a guitar. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I learned how to do that.
Every time you do anything, how much money do you save? Like,
yeah. And that was around the time where you learn that don't be afraid to turn your truss rod from time to time. It might need it. It might not need it, but you're not going to hurt anything. So
yeah. And you don't have to, you know, like you're not putting an impact gun on it. Just easy. 8th quarter turn tops. You know,
I still go to get a professional setup sometimes though. Like my like if my telly is my Baja telly or something like that. Something that I use a lot and rely on. Make sure that it's going to be good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like these guitars. I set them up every time I play them. I turn something on them.
My 71 telly, Richie still usually does the setup on it. Well, he did pre-COVID, but I do it now. But because he did a lot of the work and mods on it when I first got it.
Does he work at the store?
No, he just what happened was he worked for a music instrument wholesaler locally that would sell to music stores. So a lot of low-end import stuff mainly. And so he would he was basically going to luthier school because the guy who owned the company was luthier as well. So he could teach him how to do setups and repairs, and he was learning all that. Unfortunately, the guy passed away while Rich was working for him and never logged his hours. So he couldn't just all of a sudden then go, say, apprentice under somebody else and be almost done with it. Yeah. So he learned a crap ton. So he was setting up my guitars years ago before I really got into it. And when I was gigging with One Day to Live, I didn't really have time to do it. So I was always dropping off guitars. So I'm like, restring, setup. And the funniest thing is his setup and mine varied in the fact that on a Les Paul, he knew he'd set it up for himself and then go to the action post and raise it a third of a turn on both sides.
Very nice. We
agree. And on tellies, it was a quarter turn, just a quarter turn higher on the action. And it was like perfect. Once we knew that, because for him, he literally just about dialed it in with the old strings, always with the old strings, because he needs 11s because he's got a monkey grip and he snaps 9s, and he would snap my strings. So he'd always do it prior to restring and then just check everything afterwards after restring it. He's like, yeah, you're going to have to stretch your strings, dude. I'm like, yeah, I know. That was the one thing. Strings aren't stretched every time.
Yeah. I like to keep my strings a wee bit high. I think it sounds clearer that way. I think it sounds better.
Yep.
But I don't know. Lots of funny little ideas I have about
That's
how.
why we get to have multiple guitars, because you can have a Tele with high action, a Tele with lower action, and
That's right.
it's just an excuse to have another Tele.
Tele is an amazing thing because you can just do whatever you want with it. So, you know, the company Music Lily,
Yes.
they reached out to me recently and they want to send me some inexpensive parts.
Nice.
Yeah, which I thought was very cool. And I don't really do this kind of thing that much, and so I didn't want to get too involved in that kind of thing. But I was like, yeah, send me some stuff. And she kept asking me, well, what do you want? And I'm like, well, how about this and this? And I just kept sending her SKUs, and she's like, okay. And I haven't gotten anything yet, so I hate to speak too soon. It'd be really cool.
I think that would work on your channel, dude, because you've been doing it long enough that you've built a brand as Rick Romanelli here on YouTube. You know, like, we know who you are, you know, and I think, like, if you take the time to do it's the same as you shouting out a pedal on one of your videos or something. You're like, hey, I dig, like we were talking off air. You're like, hey, I dig this particular pedal. It's really cool. I take your word for it because I value your opinion. And I think, yeah, especially if you're bringing in something that's in your wheelhouse anyways.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, you know, like this pedal. Oh, the stupid light. Here it is, Gold Jetter.
Mm-hmm.
This is an amazing little pedal. And it's not like a high saturation pedal or anything like that. It's a pedal for guys like me that like to sound kind of clean, but with a lot of sustain and a little bit of edge.
Exactly.
And I think that this is so good.
That's why I think you would like that Chola Boost. Unfortunately, they don't make it anymore. But that's essentially because it was a 25 decibel clean boost, but with that warmth.
Yeah.
And it's got one of those, it's only a single knob because it's a mini pedal. But like while you're turning it, it's adding gain and tone shifting at the same time. Lawrence puts it all into one thing. So it's not like all of a sudden you're just literally just turning up level only. So if there is, say, a mid hump, it becomes more pronounced or anything like that. He counteracts stuff. I don't understand it.
That's really neat.
Magician.
And what I found, though, is that there's some pedals that will only sound good to you set a certain way. But then there are other kinds of pedals.
Yeah.
Like that Jetter. Or like any kind of Klon, I found that no matter where you set them, it's adding something. It's doing something cool to your sound. Then you could turn the tone up all the way or all the way down, and it's not like too extreme for anything. That's the kind of thing I like now. I like to try all different things.
I see. Unbelievable's now mocking me. He says, I pay for setups because I'm lazy, and I have another LPD proto to test. Of course you do. It's advantages to living in Mesa area. That's all I'm saying. If you live in the Mesa area,
that where he lives?
Good on you. Yeah, because he lives like 10 minutes from Lawrence. So Lawrence was like, hey, you want to swing by and check something out? Okay. No kidding.
Yeah, I would.
Here I am stuck in the Great White North going, hello. But
that makes you unique in some way.
Not that this tracking number is for a Klon style LPD pedal.
Oh, is it for that one that Phil had? Nice.
But I'm not allowed to talk about it till like July or August, apparently.
Well, Phil was allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, Phil wasn't supposed to talk about it.
Oh, Phil's in trouble.
But he gets away with it. He's Phil.
I know. I love pedals. I like to have more. But
yep. And they're great to collect because they don't take up a lot of room. That's the great thing about pedals.
And a lot of times you can sell them for the same price that you bought them for.
Mm-hmm.
I have here. This is a neat one. I bought this pedal for $100 at my local store in the used section. This is a Hermida Dover drive.
Okay.
And Dover, the word Dover is coming from Cliffs of Dover. So this is supposed to get you like a Eric Johnson sound out of the box. which everything I play sounds like Rick. So I don't have an Eric Johnson sound out of it, but it has a wonderful, like, turn it down. It's a really beautiful overdrive, and you crank up the gain and it gets fuzzy, and it's really nice. Like almost like David Gilmour fuzzy. So it's really cool.
Very nice.
I bought it for $100. I went on Reverb recently to see how much these are selling for. Like $300 to $500 for these.
Scott Brockway, he flips pedals. He repairs pedals and flips, and he goes, "Damn, you got a Dover drive for $100? Score!"
Well, it was a couple years ago.
Darlene says they have too many Boss pedals. I have a lot of Boss. I'm not even that big a Boss pedal fan, but I think I have a dozen Boss pedals.
I only use them for utility pedals. I have a Boss. I have two Boss tuners, and I have a Boss noise suppressor, and that's really the only reason I use them. I used to play the BEOD. Wait, no, not that. That's a Friedman. What is the Blues Driver? BD2 or whatever it was.
Right.
I used to use that in the 90s.
I have a few knockoffs of that one. I don't have an actual Blues Driver though.
You know what? I got tired of it and I sold it. That was one that wore on my ears after a while. That
they have they do have a few industry standards. I got a Boss digital delay.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up a DD3 because I'm like, yeah, that does enough for me. I don't need the extra settings of the DD7 or anything like that. DD3 is fine because I literally had a carbon copy. MXR carbon copy was my delay 99% of the time.
Yeah, it's kind of the only one I need.
Until I was playing there's a couple, ironically both Joe Walsh guitar leads, but Dirty Laundry, when I had to play the guitar solo in Dirty Laundry, I mean, you got to have a digital delay. You need that big 80s delay type thing.
Yeah.
And I used it in a couple of, but it was literally like for our 80s covers, I used this delay pedal. For everything else, I used the carbon copy, which was set to a simple slapback, essentially.
Yeah, I like the carbon copy. I don't have it on
the
board right now.
And of course, the Boss D2 is the beautiful chorus that it is.
The carbon copy is neat because you can set it a certain way, like just based on where the knobs are. You know, so I set it at like 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and it's perfect every time.
Yeah, the carbon copy is no longer on my board. And I was like, wait, what did I replace it with? Right, the LPD Rival.
I have this Joyo Aquarius pedal on my board right now.
The White Rabbit delay. Damn it. I keep forgetting. It's the delay that you can't buy from Lawrence, apparently. Because he developed two at the same time. And he decided to go with the other one, the Rival. That seems to be his go-to delay now.
Okay.
But he made the White Rabbit delay, and I prefer it because it's a shorter delay time because I don't use a lot of delay. So I'm trying to convince him to allow me to rebrand it as part of my line of LPD pedals where I'm trying to piggyback on Lawrence's scientific abilities and success and get my name out there.
That's a smart idea.
Well, we try.
I only use delay when I'm playing by myself. If I'm playing in a band, I don't use delay.
Try playing in a band. We played in a cover band where both of us had big pedal boards, always had reverbs and delays going.
Yeah, that sounds noisy.
It annoyed the hell out of the bass player. He's like, "No, Ricky does all the effects." I'm like, "Screw you! I'm not the second guitar player in this band. I'm the other." I would have pointed at my
pedal board. He doesn't do these ones.
He's like, "You both don't need phase 90s." I'm like, "Yeah, we do." Because at one point, because we had played together in a couple of bands, and the bass player being Larry being the same in both bands as well. I forget, there was a song where essentially the lead break is just, you still play the chords just louder with a phaser on, one of those type situations.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, that's cool. It'll be cooler if both guitar players do that.
Yeah.
So it was like this wash because we both ran.
Yeah, because you had your phases going different times.
Nope, we were good. It was a massive wash. Yeah, because we both had sets at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, super slow. And you just, when we hit it at the same time, or even if it was slightly delayed, it wasn't bad because you had that kind of Doppler effect thing going. And the bass player just shaking his head. He goes, "That's so much phaser. For God's sakes, nobody needs that much phaser in a band." I'm like, "We do. Yep, we do."
In the early 80s, phase shifters were one of the more common pedals. People had drives. They might have a chorus. They had phase shifters.
Yep.
And for me, it was one of the first pedals that I had, and it was just the neatest sound. And we used to, I remember playing, it wasn't really a metal band as far as what metal is today, but it was a hard rock band. You know, we were fans of Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and we played power chords basically, but we would love to just crank up the feedback as much as we can on the phase shifter so we could get like that really nice. I don't know why, and they almost sound dated sometimes, but they're just so wonderful.
What doesn't sound dated in the guitar world? Is there a modern guitar tone, right? Unless you're playing some 7 or 8 or 9 string tuned super low that I can't hear. That's modern guitar. I'm good. I'm old school then. Sorry. Yeah, I like phasers and choruses and flangers.
I love choruses. Yep. And here's something I found. I think that people overdo chorus these days. They don't understand what the thing is with chorus. Like they turn it up until it warbles and sounds all out of tune. Yeah. When really a chorus sounds best when both knobs are sort of balanced with each other. So if you have the
rarely goes past 10 or 11 o'clock on a chorus, in my opinion.
Yeah. If you have your rate halfway, you need to have your depth halfway. If you turn up your rate, you need to turn your depth down. And I think that the CE2, it was always, we would always do rate at 10 o'clock, depth at 2 o'clock. So it was a little deeper. Yeah. And that's your come as you are tone right there, you know, in many ways. Or it's a lot of like the early 80s Rush tones or that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. That was,
Alex Lifeson in a box. Now I basically replaced it with an MXR stereo chorus. So even more. Why not? And I'm really going for that album oriented rock, big chorus tone. Because why not? We got nothing else to do in life. So
that's right.
Why not come up with a nice AOR tone? And I blame RJ Ronquillo for that.
Why?
Because he went on an AOR kick last year. I was like, fine. Yep. Thanks. Yeah. I'm like, we're all going, I'm like compressed and chorus and and then boosting it because you're compressing it so much.
Yeah.
And then you got into Rockmans, and that's a whole other rabbit hole I've avoided.
What? Rockmans? You mean the thing with the headphones?
Yeah.
I play through one of those.
Yeah.
I play through a Rockman Soloist into a Sun amp. That was my distortion for a little while.
Sure.
It sounded fine.
Yeah, because everyone, traditionally, they say Boston in a box. It was great for that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah. And then RJ decides, no, he does this Rockman video. What's the first thing he plays? Def Leppard's Hysteria. I'm like, God damn it, that is the tone. Damn it. Now I need Rockman.
It is the tone.
It is.
I love that thing. That was nice. It broke eventually. And I tried to get an Aeron one, which I still have, and it doesn't sound good at all.
It's not the same.
No, it's not the same. And even though I bought a Soloist, which was the cheaper version of the Rockman, it was still pretty awesome.
Soloist, and was it the X300 or something, I believe?
Yeah. No, wait. I remember. It had X100 maybe?
X100.
Yeah. No, I remember the first time I put those headphones on and played through, I was like, oh my God, I sound like Boston. That was like the most amazing thing to me. It was like kind of a bummer. Nobody else could hear it.
Yeah. Do you hear this? No. Hey, Mark Dillon. My knees hurt. Got a few friends.
Guys.
We'll go for a little while longer, folks. Darlene says, I lost my Rockman. Can't find it. I miss it. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Eddie Van Haskell says Hysteria, Pyromania, Kleptomania. Yep, all the manias.
All the manias. Hysteria was one of my... I love that album. I think I was 13 when that came out. It was a good album.
Yeah, I think, right around that time. I remember, ironically enough, for those that were watching, like at least here in Canada, that album was a flop initially.
Really?
Yeah, because at that time, new cassettes cost $10.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to pick up Hysteria for $6.98 at the local Woolworths because they were discounting them. Because I think the first song off the album was Woman, which wasn't that, like, if you look, it was the second or third single on the album that really all of a sudden went like straight up the charts and all that. Because it was like Rocket and Women were the first 2 singles. It was like, those are 2 of the weaker tracks on the album, guys. They're like, yeah, you just wait. We're going to drop forth some
you were
sugar
talking
on
about
you.
Hysteria, and I meant Pyromania, I think. What was the one that had Photograph on it?
That was Pyromania.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm a little older than you. That's all right.
That was an epic album. That was. Yeah, I remember. I can't remember. I was maybe 8, 9 years old. My buddy invites me over. Of course, he had an uncle that gave him some albums, and he played me Kiss's Double Platinum. I went, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And Pyromania. And he just put on Rock of Ages. And I'm like, yep, that's it. I'm done. This band's awesome.
Yeah. We love that stuff. And Iron Maiden at that time. That was the stuff to listen to. That was good. Iron Maiden, I saw
a single. BC Rich 581 says. Here we are.
1983, I saw Iron Maiden Peace of Mind tour.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. The Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Anyway, that's a lot of fun.
Sure.
Ben, what is the white guitar that's behind you with the bigger headstock?
That one? No,
the other side. Second one in the rack.
Oh, this would be my Fibson. Great to gig with because you don't care if it's stolen.
Yeah, don't try to sell it though, right?
That's right. I will gladly give it to somebody though at some point, and if they want to return, drop an envelope somewhere, that's fine.
Yeah,
I got a couple of close friends that have been interested in it, literally for years.
Yeah, does it play really nice?
It does. I put Duncan 59s in it, so it sounds a lot better, and it's got 18-to-1 locking tuners, Grovers on it as well.
I love Duncan 59s. I think it's the most wonderful sounding pickup.
That's what I wanted, like low output. I wanted it to sound like a traditional Les Paul.
This is a 59 here,
nice.
And this is a Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this pickup. I especially love it with the coil split on. It's, I don't know what it is. It's like it sounds to me like a modern single coil or something like that.
Right.
It sounds really neat. I'm not in the camp of people who think that
now in this
coil
thing,
splitting.
I love the Duncan JB in this thing.
Oh, and now is the JB hotter?
Yes.
Okay.
Not a lot, but just a little. It's like, oh, the volume knob went to 11. Just a little extra something.
That's cool.
Yeah. This, I swear, I bought this, on a lark in many ways because I started following Johnny Bean and got into the whole EVH thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted one Floyd Rose guitar in my life. So I picked it up and I love it. And it was funny because I started bringing out to gigs playing classic rock covers. So as a lark, I'd play Tom Petty on it, the Beatles.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Richie would be playing like a hollow body or a 335 to offset it for tone wise. And that was cool. Or a Strat. Either way.
I played in a blues band for years with a guy who played a Charvel's Model 6 in the blues band.
And Richie is he's not Floyd Rose, not into Kramer, he's not in any of that stuff. And I left it at his place where we practiced as part of the practice. Left it there, and he decided, I'm going to pick it up one day. And I show up at practice the next day, and he goes, God damn it, that's a cool playing guitar. I'm like, isn't it?
Yeah.
And especially when you use the single coil, you can get all those Strat tones with those single coils. They're beautiful.
Does it have a thinner neck?
Yeah, thicker than an Ibanez, but definitely thinner than a Fender.
Yeah.
Somewhere halfway in between.
That would take a little getting used to.
Yeah.
But not much. I have no.
It's not super thin.
The only preference that I have is that I don't like too small of frets, but it turns out like radius, I don't care that much what it is. I
love small frets.
Do you?
Oh yeah, smaller.
They hurt my hands. You would have liked my 335 that I sold a couple of years ago. It was a 74 Gibson
fretboard regardless, so it's just bigger frets just make me pull notes out of tune more. That's all.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
I have no feel that way. Yeah.
I had carpal tunnel for a lot of years, and it would after a while I couldn't play if the frets were too small. And then I sold my Gibson, and then I got my carpal tunnel fixed. I did that in the wrong order.
yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. This Eldegus has got some tiny frets. Nice. Tiny, but it's as good.
See, unbelievable.
Later, unbelievable. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. We've still got 55 people watching.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, I'd like to have a variety around here. Definitely for guitars. You know, you want to have one of everything. And although the fake Les Paul is definitely surplus, because I found between the Ernie Ball and my Wolfgang, they cover all the Les Paul territory more than enough.
I bet you they do.
Because, well, that one has I think that has lower output pickups. Well, and I got Gretsch now too. That's right. I keep forgetting I own a goddamn Gretsch.
Oh, what is that? Is that a Duo Jet or something?
A Jet Pro, good sir.
Good. Oh, cool.
In
Streamliner, or is it Electromatic?
Electromatic.
Oh, cool.
And this is every year they do the short run of a certain color, and this year they did the Fairlane Blue.
I had a gold top one for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I sold it.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Different than Les Paul, but it covers that low output, classic Les Paul sound.
Well, I love those pickups.
Yeah.
I want those pickups on a Tele, really.
Yeah, I dig that
with a big speed.
I play that a lot, and it still has 11s on it, and I usually play 9s, 9.5s.
What's your dream guitar that you've never gotten? Anything?
Yes, ES 175.
Oh,
with 2 pickups.
Steve Howe City, brother.
Yeah,
that's what he played.
The moment I saw Izzy Stradlin play one, I went, oh,
yeah,
like that. That's it right there. It could be black or a burst. Either way, I'm not picky.
I might be with you on that one. I like the Gretsch double anniversary. I don't know if you've ever seen like the green one. It's like a lime green color. I think those are gorgeous, and they actually made some of them in the 60s that were wonderful. That's one of my dream guitars. And the Collings I-35, the Cheddar Kung Pao now flaunts in our face.
Yeah.
Bless him. Bless his heart. I love Cheddar. But that's a wonderful guitar.
I would say, and the other guitar that still haunts me, because I played it at Carter's in 2019, I guess. 57 Tele with a V-neck.
Nice.
I knew, when I started playing guitar, after I stopped playing bass, I wanted to switch to guitar after a few months, because playing bass by yourself was kind of boring. So
yeah,
Dad said to me, well, use my gear until you get something of your own, because he had stopped playing by that time, essentially. Well, he definitely stopped gigging. I think he noodled around once in a while. So so all of a sudden I had his 67 Telecaster and the 72 Martin with the V-neck and a Tele. It was like the 2 guitars I started out on combined into one guitar. Because it just felt like a D28 neck.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So this is a soft V.
Oh, nice.
That I have sanded down so that it's smooth, and it's just I think it's a 2001 MIM body with a 2006 MIM neck, and it's the one with the little anniversary thing on it. This guitar feels really great, but the frets are a little too small for me. But I absolutely love this thing.
Oh, hey, El Scott Music.
It's a little bit of a fight to play.
Muddy
I believe that.
Fenders 10 Radius 56V is my favorite neck. Yeah. That Tele, it was priced right too. That was the worst part. Yeah, it was either 24 or 26 grand for a 57 Tele. That's not bad. And it was I don't know, it was in as rough a shape as probably this thing.
What year is that? Isn't that it's like a 67 or something?
This is the 71.
71, okay.
Yeah. So this one, which I have modified. quite a bit. 4-way switch, because why not, right?
Yep.
6 saddle
I feel
bridge.
that way too.
6 saddle bridge so you can intonate it. The pickups were shot, so I put, these are the prototypes of my signature Tele pickups, which are based off of 53 Tele.
Oh.
And then brass nut for old school, because why not? Yeah, that's the 71. And then I'll grab the 67. Which is actually more what that one at Carter's shape was.
Oh.
Because what happens when you're a rhythm player sideman, never played lead for a number of years, and this is your only guitar? Ask my father. You know, you get the wear marks, all, you know, this is all gone from wearing sports jackets.
Yeah.
It's checked to hell. In the fretboard, there's no wear until you get down into the cowboy chords.
Woo! That's nice, though.
And the back of the neck, same deal.
Dude, that's awesome.
And yes, it does have EMGs in it.
Oh, EMGs.
Well, Rick, you know, you've gigged once or twice. You know, I know you plug this thing directly into a Fender Vibralux with no gain at stage volume at a bar. You get sick of that 60 cycle hum on some nights, especially the ones with the bad ground. So he had heard about these pickups.
Yeah.
This is like...
No, I had EMGs on my Strat up until 1994, I believe. From 87 to 94. I had EMGs on my Strat.
He had heard about these EMG pickups. Yeah. Word of mouth, you know, because it's the mid 80s. Mm-hmm. So him and a buddy actually drove down to Syracuse, New York to buy some EMG pickups, which is an hour plus to the border. Of course, you just show them your driver's license back in the day.
Yep.
Over the border, another hour and a half down to Syracuse. They may have picked up a couple guitars while they're down there to flip to pay for the trip. And then, yeah, you got these EMGs put in. The battery fits right in under the control plate. And he never looked back. And I dig the tone of this thing. Like, it's got its... Because they are a touch hotter, but they do have a nice tone to them, clean, because always he played clean and loved them. But, man, I plugged this thing in with a rock setup, and she just howls.
The reason I bought EMGs was because I bought Toto 4 when I graduated high school, because I loved Lukather. And I looked really close at the thing, and I could see he was playing a Strat type guitar with EMGs.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, EMGs through a Marshall. And I had a JCM 800 head back then. And I was just like, I want EMGs on my Strat, and I want to crank it through the Marshall. And it did have a really fantastic tone. It wasn't my tone now, but that was really great.
That was a nice tone.
Yep. Good old days.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I would have never sold my Marshall amp, because I'll never get the money back that I got it for. I mean, I'll never be able to buy one for that amount again.
Yeah.
So
what a shame. 412 cabs, you can buy a dime a dozen. People will give you a Marshall 412 cab these days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can't gig with them anymore, and they're big and bulky and take up space. Like, I think they run around 200 to 300 Canadian.
Really?
Used. Yeah.
So I bought mine in 88 or 87 maybe. And it was $400 for each part. $400 for the head and $400 for the cabinet. And it was great. I sold it in 2000 to get an ES335. But I wish I wouldn't have done that now, because I only got $1,000 for it. But really great amp. It sounded beautiful.
Well, that's what we did, right? You flipped your gear to get something new, and
well, yeah, and then plus I was into smaller amps by then. I was into Fenders,
sure,
all the time. So I never played the Marshall. It sat in the basement in my mom's house. I
do not miss lugging a half stack anywhere.
No, but you'd be surprised what car you could fit that into when you really want to take it to the gig.
My Fender half stack there, which I still have, it is solid state. So the head's a touch smaller, but
yeah,
I used to gig with that, and I could carry it in the trunk of my Grand Prix.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You could just fit the 412. It would just boom at the last second.
I was able to fit
A Marshall will not fit though, because that one's a little narrower.
I was able to fit my Marshall cab into the back of a Sunbird, Pontiac Sunbird. And it was great. But whatever. That was my early gigging days, clubs and stuff.
Quentin asks, how much was my Gretsch?
I'm going to guess.
Okay.
$450.
With conversion. With the friends and family discount, Rick. Ding, ding, ding. You're correct.
Oh.
It was about 600 Canadian.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. With a hard shell case.
I have one of those back here. It's Skippy's. I'm going to be...
he sold it to me
fixing
for
it up.
They're going for 9 Canadian because it's the rare
really?
color. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Nice, Johnny.
Drop my headphones.
It happens. It's all good.
This guy?
Ooh.
This doesn't belong to me.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be setting it up, and I might do a review on it. I don't know.
And it's a Pro as well because it has the master volume.
Yeah. And it's got the blacktop pickups. They sound wonderful.
And
But it's pretty heavy.
I'm still getting used to those inlays. It's the first time I played a guitar with next to no inlays. It still throws me off a little.
Yeah. Well, they still got these dots up here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's all right. I know he's going to be selling this though.
The question is, does it just stay there, Rick? Does it just stay there?
Here in my house, it can't. It cannot. I cannot. You know, it's buying another guitar is not in the plan right now, so it wouldn't be that one.
Right.
So that's how that goes. No, I'm just gonna fix it up and make a video with it, and then send it back to my buddy.
Sure.
That's what I've been doing. That's why I get to make videos about a bunch of IV guitars and Fireflies, and because my buddy Skip buys a bunch of inexpensive stuff.
I'm not saying I have a couple guitars on loan for demo right now as well that were just dropped off.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep your YouTube garden watered.
Yep.
Because you get a lot of nice.
Yeah, I was talking with. Actually, I don't think I've seen him in the chat tonight. Absolute Mayhem. I borrowed a Squier Telly off him because I know Squiers always do well on my channel for demos.
Yeah.
And so I borrowed the Telly, did the demo, and then of course make a setup video on it as well because you might as well make 2 videos for your channel out of it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Hey, have you ever done a demo on this guitar and this guitar?" I was like, No, I haven't. And one of the guitars I actually used to own. So those who have watched the channel long enough know there is a guitar that I used to own when I started the channel, sold, but it was never demoed on the channel. And I don't think ever played on the channel.
Oh, well, then I've never seen it.
Terry says Mayhem was in here briefly. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, so, but I will say the other guitar is an Ibanez hollow body.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
That's the other guitar.
And you never did a video on it?
I never did the video on this other guitar. Yeah. And I think most people will not be able to guess what the guitar was because I think I showed it on the channel a couple of times, but that was it.
Well, we got to play like a 20 questions thing.
All right.
Find out. Okay. So did it have single coils or double coils?
Yes.
Okay. It had both. All right. Does it single cutaway or double cutaway?
Double.
Double. Okay. Did it have a belly cut?
I believe it does, yes.
Did it have an arm cut?
Yes.
Okay. So far, it sounded like a Stratocaster. Did it have a bolt-on neck?
It does.
Okay. That's it. It's a Strat. It's got to be.
It's not a Strat.
No. Okay. Was it 6 tuners on a side or 3?
6 on one side.
6 on one side. Was it a pointy guitar? Did it have a pointy headstock or did it have a rounded headstock?
Oh, it's pointy.
Oh, it's pointy. So it's like a Charvel or a Jackson or a BC Rich.
No,
So,
none of the above.
None of the above. Ibanez.
You got it.
It's an Ibanez. Like an RG or something.
Something like an RG. You will not guess the model number. Probably.
No? Okay.
It is a model line that was only available for a handful of years in the late 80s into the early 90s, I believe.
Okay. Interesting. What was it?
An EX350.
Oh, cool.
That one player of note ever played one, and it was one of the early guitars that Andy Timmons played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Andy Timmons is a monster player.
He is.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, I used to own an EX350 because of you. He's like, no shit. That was his response. No shit. Because right there, he's like, oh, you've known me a while. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very,
right
very
in my
nice.
crosswalk at a NAMM show.
Ibanez was a good guitar to own growing up.
Ages until finally, because, Ibanez, they're weird with their serial numbers for model years. And the weird thing is, the headstock literally just says Ibanez. It doesn't say anything else. It doesn't say EX series or EX350. None of that is written anywhere. And I got some information based off the serial number. And then it took David Nesdahl and Steve from Boston, because they both know their Ibanez's, and they were able to tell me what it was.
Exactly. Did it have a doodle bar on it?
Oh, it's got the locking. Yeah, it's got a Floyd Rose on it. And
okay.
All that fun stuff. Which that was the thing. I didn't ever play it on the channel because it was unplayed. It needed a setup badly, and I could not set up a Floyd Rose, at least at that time. And so I sold it to Absolute Mayhem after I bought it in the mid 90s, I would say, off a buddy of mine that bought it new in high school, played it for a year, left it in the case, gave up playing. I was working at a gas station a few years later. He comes in for gas on the same day I get my tax refund. And I say to him, you still got that old Ibanez? Yeah, man. I'm like, want to sell it? Sure. I'm like, what do you want for it? So you told me a price, and wouldn't you know, it was within $20 of my tax refund amount.
Nice.
So I had a few bucks left over to buy some strings and stuff. And I'm like, he goes, yeah, I'll run up. He goes, and I don't even think he was living in the area anymore, but he was down hanging out, like visiting his parents. And he's like, yeah, it's up at my parents' house. Like, I'll be back in 20 minutes with him. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I just bought a guitar.
That's nice. It's always a good feeling.
Yeah. And I had it for a number of years. And then, like I say, it goes into disrepair, sat in the case forever and a day. And then, because I had no desire to play a Floyd Rose guitar or anything like that. I was all about hardtails. And then Mayhem wanted it forever and a day. And he kept bugging me. I'm like, fine, here's the price. And he's like, done. So, boom. And then he gave it to a guy to be professionally set up, then brought it back to me a few weeks later. He goes, what do you think about it now? I'm like, God damn. Okay, this is nice. This is what I remember back in the 90s.
Cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
I had a Roadstar too.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't that nice. It was okay. It was like a...
There he is. There's Absolute Mayhem. See him? He says, I've loved the EX350.
Does he still have it?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, now it's in the other room. And there'll be a demo out on it in the next week or so.
Cool.
So
that's nice.
It plays nice, yeah. And it's got that super thin neck. It's aged, so it's gonna be cool to do a demo on. And I'll tell the story in the demo as well, because why not? Used to own it, didn't own it, and yeah, I'm glad he's enjoying it. That's for sure.
I think if I had the opportunity to buy an Ibanez Sabre, I would do that.
Sabres, they're nice.
Because I think that I would feel very comfortable playing that guitar.
I think my favorite Ibanez I ever owned was my Ibanez Jet King.
Oh?
Without the Bigsby, it was teal, white pick guards, and they're kind of P90s in it. And that thing, I wrote more songs on that guitar in the year or so I owned it, or a couple of years I owned it. and I regret selling it. But I traded it for something worth a lot more money. Didn't bond with the more money guitar, and the guy who said he wasn't going to get rid of the guitar immediately refinished it and then flipped it a month later.
Oh, good for him.
Like, ah! And
how about an Iceman? You want an Iceman, don't you?
I do. I play an Iceman.
That's be my quiet secret. I would love to have an Iceman.
With or without the cracked mirror finish?
No, without. I would want it to be like blue.
Ooh. I figure if I would go every time I'm at a NAMM show and I see the Paul Stanley cracked mirror Iceman, I'm like, I got to play it, because just for that reason. I don't have a photo of me playing it.
I would put 59s in it and play it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Even though it probably has DiMarzios in it already. Probably. I like the Ibanez pickups though. They were always good.
Michael
stuff.
Cruz wants a Fireman, the reverse in purple.
Oh, is that the reverse of the thing comes up?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what Paul Gilbert plays?
Yep.
His interview, I gotta say, watched his interview with Tyler Larson. That was riveting.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy, and he talked about a lot of stuff that you keep thinking about after you watch the interview. Really impressed.
I got very lucky to literally run into him at the last NAMM show I was at.
Oh, really?
And he's one of those people that has, you can tell when he's in the room because he's a head above everyone else, and there's a sea of people around him at all times.
Oh, he's real tall.
And I think I come up to his shoulders, Rick.
Really?
Yeah, he's got to be 6'7".
Wow.
Something like that. And, I introduced myself. I said, can I talk to you for a second? Type thing. And he's like, well, I just did a clinic here. I need to go over here to do another clinic. Walk with me? I'm like, sure. Except his strides are like 6 feet. So I'm like power walking to keep up with him.
Right.
And so we were trying to have a conversation for it lasted 20, 30 seconds. And he goes, tell you what, it was great meeting you. And he hands me one of his guitar picks. He goes, here's my card.
Nice.
And then he was gone type thing. And I was like, well, that happened. And then I ran into buddy JJ, who I stay with out there in California. He's like, hey, mate, where were you? And I was like, oh, I was just chatting with Paul Gilbert. And he's like, of course you were, rock star.
That would be cool.
He was, the fact that he took that, he's like, if you're willing to walk, I'm willing to talk. And I'm like, sure.
Who else have you met? What were your favorite famous people you've met?
Well, I like throwing off musicians when I meet them on occasion.
Yeah.
I got to meet the guys from Chilliwack, very big band in Canada. I think they had a bit of success in the US. Early 80s, kind of an April Wine type sound. Okay. And so I saw them a few years ago, and they were doing a meet and greet afterwards. So I'm like, sure, why not? So I walk up, and the only merch they had kind of thing, well, they had T-shirts and stuff, but they had drumsticks signed by the band. Mm-hmm. And so they said, well, do you want new ones or used ones? I'm like, well, obviously used ones. Like, that makes sense. And then I said to Bill Henderson, who's the front man leader of the band, I said, I saw he was playing with his guitar pick still. And I said, how much for your guitar pick? He says, excuse me? How much for your guitar pick? Well, like, name a price. You can donate the money to charity. I don't know, $10, $20. He's like, really, dude? I was like, yeah. So you can have it. I'm like, well, thanks. And that was the pick he used on the set that they played, which was cool. Awesome. And I was talking, I'm like, yeah, I remember seeing you on this show and that show. And that. He goes, wow, you really remember us? I'm like, My Girl was a huge hit, at least in Canada. Like, it was everywhere. Yeah, that was really cool. Another Canadian band, the Stampeders. We're outside the venue. Well, I was smoking a joint. My buddy's having a cigarette. And he's a huge Stampeders fan. Yeah. And he's like, oh, it'd be awesome if we could meet the band. I'm like, well, they'll probably do a meet and greet after the show. No sooner do I say that, minivan pulls into the parking spot next to us. Or one spot over, 5 feet away, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Van door opens, out comes the band. I'm like, well, they're there right there. They're like, hey, how you doing? Walk up. I'm like, not too shabby. He goes, smells like Stampeders fans. Enjoy the show. And my buddy's just like, did that just happen? I'm like, yep.
Yep.
Let's go in and enjoy the show.
That's cool.
Lots of people at NAMM. NAMM's just surreal that way. It's like, you're at Disneyland, but the rock stars or the main attractions are walking around with you, checking out gear. Like say, ran into Andy Timmons at a crosswalk. That was cool. Glenn Hughes was sitting on a park bench.
Glenn Hughes was a former Deep Purple member there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was just there.
Yeah. When I went to Duquesne University, they would bring in guitar players for workshops. And so I got lucky a couple times. I met Steve Vai. He was cool. But it wasn't like I'm talking to Steve Vai by myself. It might have been a group of folks. Eric Johnson came, but he didn't really talk to a lot of people. But he came and did a meet and greet Q&A down in one of the little rooms. It was very funny because he was trying to make a point about something. He had to pick up a guitar to do it. And the agreement was that he wasn't going to play. Like he's just talking. He's not going to play. He had to pick up a guitar to make a point, and everybody was like, oh, you could hear this audible gasp in the room that he was going to play in front of us. That was kind of cool. And I enjoyed those.
Awesome. I have not met Steve Vai, although I did hang out with his son at a after party during NAMM one year.
Oh, really?
That was weird. Yeah, I came outside to have a vape, and there's JJ standing to this tall, skinny guy who looked kind of familiar, but I couldn't, obviously place from where. And then JJ's like, yeah, this is, I can't remember his name. And he's like, blah, 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 Vai. I'm like, well, that, because he looked like a young Steve Vai. And I was like, oh, shit, okay, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. He was neat though. He was a good workshop to watch. It was, I remember it was like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours long, I forget. But it was it was a full room of guitar players watching Steve Vai and people who didn't go to school because they opened it up so that they could make money from it. It was very cool.
Nice.
Very nice.
Let's see.
When I was a cook in a restaurant once, and my girlfriend was a hostess, and she came back and said, there's these two guys that are in a famous band out here. I don't know who they are. I said, well, ask them who they are. And she said, okay. She came back and she was like, they're Rudy Sarzo and Adrian Vandenberg. I was like, you're kidding, right? So like I was just dropped all my stuff, took off my apron. I was like, I got to meet them. So I got to go out and meet Rudy Sarzo and Adrian Vandenberg. Adrian Vandenberg was one of my favorites at the time.
That's cool.
They were touring with Whitesnake. I think it was early 90s, maybe late 80s. Anyway, neat. Very cool.
There's been a few people. I'm just like, NAMM, like on the NAMM floor, it's just, randomly
I've
running.
I've never been there. I kind of want to do it. But...
Actually, Darlene mentions got to talk from Brian Greenway from April Wine a few times.
Oh, neat.
Friends with him on Facebook. I reached out to him about coming on the show here sometime, but he hasn't got back to me yet.
Yeah,
we'll work on that. But I also want to give a birthday shout out because somebody mentioned Canadian rockers, the Killer Dwarves earlier. Their drummer Daryl Miller's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Dunk!
Happy birthday, Daryl Miller.
I got to meet him. His solo band was playing up in Oshawa. I went up to check them out and talked to him online beforehand. So ended up, it was funny enough. I get in and then Richie's with me. Richie has an expired driver's license, so they won't take that as a form of ID to get into a venue.
Mm-hmm.
Which it still has your date of birth. It's still a government issue. Who cares if it's expired? Whatever.
Yeah.
So I actually somehow, I don't know how, I ran into Daryl, had Daryl come out and vouch for Richie to get him into the venue. So he's like, did you just get a fucking Killer Dwarf to endorse me into a venue? I'm like, yep, that happened.
That's cool.
We go backstage. We hung out back there for about half an hour. Then we left to watch the show. Rich gets kicked out of the place for whatever reason. And then I watched the rest of the show and that was cool. And then a few years later, Killer Dwarfs reform. My band is offered a chance to open for them. So I'm like,
cool.
Yes, of course. And so we did that. Russ, their front man, forgot his guitar strap. So he borrowed mine, which was cool. So I ended up meeting Russ because I had to get my guitar strap back. The bass player from Daryl's solo band had then become the bass player of the Killer Dwarfs, because that happens. Mm-hmm. So he recognized me. He goes, yeah, you're the dude that sat cross-legged on the floor of the venue, because there was no chairs and I didn't feel like standing. So I just sat cross-legged front row and watched them on stage, which was about there. And he's like, yeah, I'll never forget that. I'm like, thank you. Sure. And then
that's cool.
After they got off stage, I got up and I spoke to Daryl briefly, because my drummer wanted to check out Daryl's drum kit, because it was a big 80s style drum kit for one thing. And a couple of the other guys were interested in meeting the band members. And I said, I know Daryl, I'll go up. I know him. I kind of know him. And so I go up, and my band's literally all standing there. Yeah, okay, you know Daryl, but you seem to know the promoter, but you don't know Daryl. So I'm talking to him, Daryl. I'm like, yeah, we met a few years ago, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden he goes, Ben, you go by a different name on Facebook. I'm like, yeah, my first initial is from. He goes, yeah, D-Ben. Dude, brother. And he just brings me in for a big bear hug.
That's nice.
So as he's doing that, I look over, my bandmates are like, holy shit. Okay. I'm like, yeah, my drummer wants to check out your kit. He goes, come on up, play the kit. And then bass player's talking with Moishi, his stage name, talking to him. And next thing I know, I'm talking to the guitar player, who's originally from Newfoundland, and Jerry. We start shooting shit. He goes, well, where are you from? I said, Trenton. He goes, hey, my ex-wife is from that area. Turns out I went to high school with the guy's ex-wife, who moved to Toronto after high school. So we 6 degrees of separation.
And it's a big, gigantic world up there in Canada.
Yeah. I'm just like, what?
It's a big, small world.
Yeah. And I'm like, mind telling me, because I asked him a couple Killer Dwarfs riffs while I was there. I'm like, what's the turnaround for this? He goes, here's the Les Paul. And I'm like, we're not plugging in the rig. And he goes, no, just play this. I'm like, oh, cool. Forgot it since then. No. And it was just, we're like, I'm going to try to get Daryl on the channel as well for that reason. It was great times.
Cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
I'll keep my eyes out for it. Very nice.
Wow, the Anvil Boys are a whole bunch of fun as well.
Very cool.
Nice. Well, we've broken the 2-hour mark, sir.
Yeah, we have. How about that?
Damn.
Very cool. Well, you got 62 still watching, or 60. Dropped a couple.
It's been up and down.
Awesome. It's been up and down.
I was going to say, any last-minute questions here, folks? We'll probably wrap things up. I'm sure my dad wants to be able to use the internet again at some point tonight.
Oh.
Limited bandwidth. That's it.
Well, that's what it's like being in a family. This has been a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, anything you want to plug, promote, comment on?
Well, I'll tell you what. I do want to promote, and I know a lot of people know about this, but I do want to plug the Metalhead Hippie Show.
Great show.
Because he's been playing my stuff since February, like every show almost, and he plays a lot of people's great stuff. And if you are recording original music or even covers, that's a really great community to get involved in. So I do want to plug that. And other than that, no, I mean, if you're
when we wrap up, we'll send everyone over to Hippie's channel, because he would have just started up about now anyways.
Yeah, he would have.
Perfect.
If you're in the Pittsburgh area, I don't know if anybody is, but we're going to be playing coming up. We got a couple of gigs booked now, so we're pretty happy about that. See the Second Breakfast Band, but I don't see that a lot of people here are going to be in the Pittsburgh area. No, I'm very I have a lot of gratitude for having you on the show here, Ben, or having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Well, having both of us on here has been great. As far as we started talking about this a couple of years ago.
We did, and I was too nervous back then. I was like, I better not do that. Now I finally got up over 1,000 subs, and I'm starting to do more original stuff on my channel, which I think is fun.
Sure.
So I'd really be happy if a lot of folks come over and check it out. Otherwise, it's all about hanging out here together.
And thanks to the mod squad here. I've been posting links to the channel, so hopefully you picked up
thanks everybody.
Subscribers tonight. If you haven't,
that'd be cool.
The channel, folks.
I like having subscribers, especially.
Yeah, it's a great community vibe, and I agree. I'm Metalhead Hippie. I love his stuff. I check it out. I lurk more than anything else because usually after I do this show, I grab something to eat and I'll just kind of lurk and watch while I eat and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's always surprising to me, no matter whose show like that I watch or whatever. It's surprising to me how much talent is on YouTube, and what nice people they are. Exactly. And I think that's really the fun of all of this. It's easy to get caught up in subscribers and views and all that stuff, but
I was going to say, granted, YouTube, like Canada, there are 3 assholes, but we keep them at bay. So.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's your job, folks, to guess which 3 I'm referring to.
Well, the trick is to make yourself boring to those people,
exactly,
and not to everybody else.
And hello, Blue Gubrius. I saw you in here earlier.
Blue Gubrius,
just Rick. Awesome. Blue Gubrius.
Just sub me, thanks, buddy. I will sub you back.
Mayhem spent a couple of weeks in Pittsburgh.
Thanks, Jeff K.
Hines. Got to Pittsburgh sometimes 5 times a week. I know the area pretty well. Nice.
Pittsburgh's nice.
Nice.
I'm north of Pittsburgh.
I'll be back tomorrow night with Canucks with Guitars.
Do you have people on with that show too?
I do for bandwidth because apparently when I go solo on here, I'm blurry as hell most of the time. So I generally have either Bent Tom as co-host, which helps. Somehow with StreamYard, as long as I have somebody with decent internet on here, we're both clear. I don't get it. Or Terry will be co-hosting tomorrow night. So
okay, cool.
Which is always fun. Another live Q&A, much like tonight, but different. Sure. Same theme song because I only have so many videos. I need Ty to make me some more intros. That was cool of him.
I'm going to make a new intro coming up. Mine's like 3-4 years old.
Nice. Well, Ty is like, hey, do you want an entrance video for your for your videos? A little entrance thing you can edit in. I'm like, yes. He's like, do you know how to do that? I'm like, no. So, all right. So we made up a few and boom, boom, boom. Send me a handful of files. Love it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd like to do something like that.
Yeah. And so, tomorrow, Canucks with Guitars. Tuesday night, 8 p.m., I'll be live on the NAS Canucks channel talking all things NASCAR. Means I should probably watch those races starting tonight. Good idea. So I found it's better to commentate on racing, Rick, if you actually watch the races. Call me crazy, Yeah. So I do that.
I don't know.
Wednesday night, I'm live on Nez Says, which possibly Phil McKnight's going to be on.
Oh, really?
I might tease that, but it's not confirmed. So maybe not. Tune in either way. Thursday, I'm off. Oh, and I got to do a couple demos this week, too. So there'll probably be a pedal demo, probably that pedal right there that you can't see, and a guitar demo in the next room.
Okay. Yep. Very cool.
Mayhem says, already subbed to Rick, just saying.
Thanks. There's a YouTube channel called Hetriani, and he's
local.
He's doing a sort of a challenge right now where people are being asked to do like a acoustic campfire type thing. So you want to do an acoustic vocal thing or something like that. So I'll be working on that. And my friend Skippy at PGH Live Jams, he sent me some files too. So we're going to do it like a collaboration.
Nice. Yeah, Hetriani is, or was, because we're currently locked down yet, but he actually was a teacher at Ardens Music here in town.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, I told you, it's a giant, small world up there.
Well, I was saying he came across me. He's like, where are you located? I'm like, Belleville. Where are you located? He goes, which Ardens do you go to? I'm like, Belleville. And he's like, I teach there. Why do I never see you? I'm like, because I loiter in the afternoon when nobody's there.
Right.
He's like, come in the evenings. I'm like, too busy because there's always 4 or 5 people in the store. Can't do it. Oh, okay. We've yet to meet in person.
He still teaches there?
Yeah, once they reopen.
Good for him. Oh, they're closed for the COVID.
Yeah, we're locked down again. So, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So,
well, Ben, thank you.
Actually, that was supposed to expire. Come to think of it, it was for a month, and that was April. But things aren't getting any better, so I don't think they're going to unlock anything soon. So,
well, that's a shame.
Yeah, we'll get through it. And thank
Yep.
you, John. He says, John says, hi, Ben and Rick. I saw both of your channels. Found you on the Ed Dana channel. Cool.
Ed's great. I call Ed my YouTube big brother. I like Ed.
Nice. So there we are, folks. Just want to hold the line, Rick. We'll basically how we started the show. We'll do the opposite thing to end the show because
Okay.
I don't know why. Symmetry? Sure. Let's go with that. I don't.
Yeah. It's
So-
nice to keep things boxed in a nice way.
Let's everyone raid Metalhead Hippies channel now and tell them it's a Sunday night hang raid
watch.
or tell them Rick sent you
I
or
did
me,
send you. I
or
did.
both.
I did. Jeff's a
one
good guy, and he's doing God's work up there. So
That's
up in
right.
Alaska. So go and check him out.
Definitely go and check them out. So on behalf of Rick and myself, this has been the Sunday Night Hang. As always, hold those doors open. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic. Do good things, and good things will happen to you. Why? Karma is real. Cheers. Rock on. Be good to each other, folks.